Welcome to the Wedding Vendors Happy Hour, where we dive into the world of wedding entrepreneurs. Learn how they got started, what advice they have for you, and everything in between. So grab a drink and take a seat as we interview amazing vendors with your hosts, Derek and Jade. Wedding Vendors Happy Hour. It's a podcast, but it's also happy hour.
What's up, guys? And thanks for tuning in. We are so excited to be back and announce our season 2, episode 1 of the Wedding Vendors Happy Hour. Again, my name is Derek with Derek Preciado Photography.
My name is Jade with Jade Preciado Events. Today, we chat with Kasie Craig from SLO Town Studios, an amazing local photographer who has recently launched an education program. With her vast experience in business ownership from watching her parents' small business, managing a law office, and running a successful photography and videography company, Kasie's now sharing her expertise to help you elevate your business to new heights.
That's right. I'm super excited for this episode as we get the inside scoop from Kasie. So grab a drink, take a seat, and let's get to it.
Wedding Vendors Happy Hour.
Yo, what's going on, Kasie? Thank you so much for taking the time to be a part of our show. And as you know, you are the first one to start it off. No pressure. No pressure.
After our long break.
Super long break. But
hi, guys.
Hey.
Hello.
So we always have to ask, it's a happy hour, but doesn't have to be happy hour. What are you drinking?
I'm drinking coffee. Always drinking coffee.
Perfect.
In the
Love
Disney
it.
mug.
I love the Disney mug.
Same here. What do you drink, baby?
I've got my passion fruit green tea.
Ooh. And I am drinking, sparkling water.
You didn't get the cute mug memo.
No, I didn't get the cute mug memo.
I have one of those too.
Oh, dang. She's ready. All right. Perfect. Yeah. I love it. What do you got, baby?
So let's start off. Just tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do, and how long you've been doing it.
That's an easy question. I like this. Hi, I'm Kasie. I am one of the owners of SLO Town Studios, and we are a wedding photography and videography company. We've been doing that for about 10 years. It'll be 11 years in June, which feels insane. And then I just started this year SLOtown Education, which is my new coaching business for wedding professionals.
Beautiful. Oh my gosh. I can't wait to hear more about that today. We'll definitely dive into that.
Yeah, because everyone could use a nice workflow. I know I definitely need to get on this workflow show. So Kasie, every vendor has a different story of how they got started. Can you let us know about yours?
Ooh, I started out, like I said, I'm one of the owners of SLO Town. So my partner is Patrick. And way back in the day, we were just starting to date. We're no longer dating, but we just started to date, and he was shooting and he was like doing it for free, like off Craigslist, free wedding photography, like all breaking all the rules and then some, driving all of us creators crazy. And I came along and I was like, we should charge for that because this is like, this is good. And I had like a small photography background, more hobbyist, but I was going to be a lawyer, so that's what I was doing that day. And that's kind of how it kind of started. And then over the years, I went from helping create the business to second shooting to, okay, Patrick's going to move into video. And so I'm going to start doing lead shooting for photo, and just kind of chugging along on that front. But I always kind of say that running the business is more of my passion than actual photography. Like I love photography and it's this great vessel and I love weddings and it's so much fun. But while I don't think I'm like the best photographer out there, I do think that I have a really interesting look at what it's like to be a creator that also owns and has to run a business. So that's where I kind of swung into this coaching atmosphere, focusing on workflows, really trying to like dive into the behind the scenes of our businesses, especially in the wedding industry.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. And that's really interesting. This is why I really love this question, because I had no idea that Patrick started in photo. He was doing photo first, and then you're just like, hey, scoot over. You get to, now I'm taking it.
Well, you know, I love posing the clients, and I was already doing that. I was like, oh, no, pose like this. No, do this. And I was annoying the crap out of them, to be honest. So it made a lot of sense, you know, as we flew, you know, kind of made that transition as he went into video and I just took over photo. And that's definitely like where that passion lives. So it was a smooth transition. It made a lot of sense for us.
Yeah. That's awesome.
That is awesome. And I totally was going to say something and I forgot. Gosh, dang it.
I hate that.
It's going to come back to me. Oh, I was going to say, comment on the, you know, business side of the things. That's such a rare thing to actually enjoy and be good at the business element, you know, rather than your creative passion and all of that. But you have both. So I'm so glad that we have you in our industry to help us all.
Yeah, that's huge.
And it's been a lot of fun. You know, we're just a few months into it, but I think like, from the constant conversations that we're having with our friends in the industry, we all know that we either have issue with getting our social media done or keeping up with emails or, you know, keeping our head on straight in the middle of like October and crazy wedding season.
Yes.
So I definitely know there's a need there. So it's been really fun to like kind of start to fill that need.
For sure.
Yeah. One impressive thing I've noticed about you is you always manage to be able to squeeze everything in, like everything. I don't know how you do it. Like when you're not working a wedding or shooting an engagement shoot, you're editing or networking, taking headshots, going to Disneyland a million times a year. Like, how do you stay organized and make sure that no important details and all of like the tasks, the everyday tasks slip through the cracks for each of your wedding clients throughout all of that?
Yeah, I love that you said that. I used to be like, yeah, I know, I'm so busy. Oh no, you know, and I kind of like shunned away from that comment because I get it so often. And now I feel like I'm like, yeah, I do manage a lot. I am cool. I do this stuff, you know? And I think that I kind of like shied away. Now I'm like, no, like actually, and let me help you do it too, if you want to, you know? And I think that really it just comes from a lot of organization and a lot of OCD, to be honest, but it's having the right tools. That's really it. It's whether that tool is another person that helps do your laundry because you can't keep up because you're so focused on your business, or if it's somebody that's like, you're paying somebody to be the expert on social media, to be the expert on your workflow, to have someone that maybe culls for you as you know, edit, you know, I'm sure Derek understands like the nonstop level of culling that we accumulate over the years. So I think a lot of it just comes down to tools. There's a lot of programs out there that are made for us. It's just finding the right one for you that can either, you know, do one of the many things that, you know, maybe could be taken off of your plate.
I love it. I love that you mentioned a few of the little topics that should be included into your daily life. So speaking of that, what are some key elements that you believe should be included in a well-defined workflow when it comes to wedding photography?
Workflows are my passion. As you know, I could talk about workflows all day. I think that there's always like starting points for your workflow. And I always say that those starting points, the most important things are the things that you're already doing constantly. We always ask for a contract. We always have to send an invoice. We always have to send a reminder of the shoot. We need to get that final payment. We need to send them a thank you and ask for a review. So those things that we have literally you should be or could be copy and pasting and sending every single time, those are automatically stop copy and pasting into new emails, copy and paste it into a workflow because you're already doing it. It's already written. That's like step one, you know, and then that way, and then add a little automation to it. And then you don't have to do anything. That's the goal.
So thinking about it, like picturing myself doing that, like definitely I love templates, especially for those basic emails that you just mentioned. But there's always like those nuances, like all the little details that come up throughout the process. Like how do you deal with customizations like for your workflow on a client to client basis?
For sure. So I use Dubsado as my CRM, and within Dubsado and most CRMs, as I'm learning more and more about them, most CRMs allow you to have like an approval button. And so that's really helpful for me because say I'm trying to think of like a good example. I need to send a copy of like a draft timeline. I'm like, here's your timeline. And it has like, here's the details for your shoot. This is when we're arriving. This is when we're moving to the next location. This is when we're ending. So that changes for every single photo shoot that I do. I have everything built in that can be duplicated, the greeting line, the addresses, all of that in there, and then that little fun approval button. So it's still in there. And then I get an email when it's time to send that says, hey, it's time to do this. And I use my email as my to-do list. So that's the way I've set it up for myself. There's always ways, especially in the wedding industry, we handhold our clients to like extraordinary levels, and especially planners, you guys do so much customization. And so as we kind of look at workflows for planners or photographers in different types of businesses, there's so much of that extra level of, this needs to be curated specifically for that client. So that fun little approval button is like, keeps you sane, keeps you organized, sends you the reminders that you need to do this. This is a task. And everything's built in. Delete what you don't need, customize what you need to, hit send, and you go to Disneyland.
I love that. So it gives you the control still, like that. That I think is the thing that makes me nervous about like automation and all that. So that's
1,000%
got rid of my worry.
Yeah, that's true. I still have a little worry as for some things. For me, it gets a little hard to manage, when it comes, like you said, to emails and you're like scheduling and you're trying to all these things, right? So I want to dig a little deeper into that. And if you could share like more tips or some strategies for effectively like managing multiple clients on like projects.
Yeah, I mean, I sound like a broken record, I'm sure, but definitely like get a workflow.
Yeah.
But I guess like step one is getting a great client management system that works for you, and then loading in a great workflow. And ideally, you're applying that workflow to every single client, because for us, like I shoot weddings, just photo. We shoot combination photo and video, and we shoot just video. So those are like 3 different shoots. And then on top of that, I do portrait photography, family, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So those are all different types of workflows that are built. And I think that like keeping track of, bride and groom, A, B, C, this couple over here, D, E, and F, as the list grows on and on, it can get super overwhelming, like you said. But having that workflow, it's not just those automated emails in there. It's also the tasks that we need to complete. So just like review their questionnaire, edit their engagement photos, deliver engagement photos, send engagement images to the planner so that they can check them out and enjoy,
That's a good question. That's a good one.
Yeah. So there's your workflow should not just make your life easier. It should also serve your ideal client and other vendors that you want to get recommendations from or referrals from, or that you just like, and so it should do so many things for you, not just within automation. So it's definitely like dive into that workflow, thinking about your ideal client, the vendors you want to work with, and the client experience you want to deliver, and then just it's like a to-do list on crack.
I love that because like with Aisle Planner, the software that I use, that's what I do. I like set up my to-do list according to their package and all of that to make my life easier, but it's not integrated with those automatic messaging and everything else. So that sounds really neat.
Yeah. And for planners, it's fun. Like Aisle Planner is really cool. I'm learning more and more about it as I kind of dive into this coaching side of things. Aisle Planner is so front facing, right? For your clients. It gives them their to-do list. It tells them what they should be doing. It provides this amazing service through you. So it's just finding ways that a CRM can integrate and work on the back facing stuff, reminders to you to be like, oh, let me check with that caterer, or let me make sure that we've nailed down the top 5 vendors that they need, et cetera.
Perfect. Yeah. Speaking of all of those different platforms out there, which one have you found to be like the most all around helpful that's that you use and significantly enhanced your efficiency?
I love Dubsado. That's Dubasado. I've heard it and I was like, oh gosh, now I'm spelling it. I've heard it pronounced other ways, so maybe I'm wrong, but that is what I use. That's a client resource management system. I really enjoy it because I think it's super user friendly for myself. The visualization of the workflows are very easy to read, and you can understand the statements that trigger each item on your workflow. So it's not just kind of randomly sending out, or you have to make it date specific. There's a lot of if, thens, and ors, that are attached to it. But there's also great ones like Honeybook is so popular in the wedding industry. 17 Hats is another one. And then even now for photographers, there's things like Pixie Set, which is creating its own workflow within it, So there's so many out there. I think that what I love Dubsado, I'm entirely biased. It's what I use. It's how my brain works. It's definitely worth looking through tutorials and say, do I like how this looks? It doesn't make sense to me, because so many people are like, I don't get it. And sometimes it's just the management system that they're using just doesn't click for them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that. And I love that you mentioned pretty much all the platforms. I'm a little biased when it comes to Honeybook. Pop my color.
Yeah, so many people love Honeybook. And when I sat down to decide on my management system, I looked at Honeybook, and I didn't have a lot to say negative about it. It's just the way that Dubsado spoke to me is what worked for me. And that's why I used Dubsado. But I looked at all of them because you never know. They all kind of talk to your brain differently. They prioritize different things.
Yeah, that's perfect that you went into that, because I wanted to ask you, so now that you checked each platform before you chose the one you wanted, what would you say were the pros and cons of Honeybook versus Dubsado versus 17 Hats?
I didn't dive strictly into 17 Hats very much. I have used it when assisting a friend, and it was so hard for me. And I love workflows, but it was super hard for me because I was this just doesn't make sense to my brain. I feel like Honeybook and Dubsado are super comparable, but I would say that the red flags that I had for Honeybook were when I have been a client, when I was helping plan my sister's wedding, a lot of the vendors used Honeybook, and having to log in every time I wanted to read an email. Yeah. I was so done.
It sends you another email to press and authenticate, make sure you're you.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. That was my one complaint. That was it. I was like, I don't love that client experience. I will say that was so many years ago. And I think now there's a button that you can toggle that gets rid of that authorization needed.
On Honeybook?
So I believe so. I've seen it in chats. I haven't looked at it myself, obviously. But that was the big reason. The other really huge selling point that I had for Dubsado that really pushed me that way was that you can sign up for free and get everything set up. There's no time limit trial period. What they do with Dubsado is they allow you to test run it for 3 projects.
Huh.
So I got it, uploaded all my contracts, invoices, canned emails, questionnaires. Took me 6 months. I did all this work on my own when I was still working a day job, before going full time. And I didn't have to pay for any of that time.
Oh, wow.
So once I started to use it and was happy and familiar with it, once I made it past 3 projects that have been uploaded and used in Dubsado, then I had to start paying for it. Huh. But I loved having that time to kind of press around in it.
And then I forgot to mention that this episode is sponsored by Dubsado.
Yeah, right. I know. Have I hit my name quota? Have I said Dubsado enough?
What would you say that has a greater workflow system when it comes to Honeybook or Dubsado? Not 17 Hats.
I'm not sure. I think it kind of has to do with how your brain works. I also use ConvertKit on the education side of things, which is more of email sourcing. And that's been really interesting to look at because they have a super visual automation, whereas Dubsado has a line item to-do list automation. And I'm not actually sure the full layout now for Honeybook because it's been so many years. So it's hard to say.
Yeah, I can see that. Okay, cool.
But a Dubsado is like a good one you'd recommend for like your general anyone because it has all the basics. Yeah.
And it really does. It does everything for me. I run my scheduling through it. I run all of my email automation. I run my financials through it. I collect and do invoicing through Dubsado. I send my contracts through it. There's an e-signature. It's all done in one spot. I don't have any other platforms or, integrations necessarily that I have to use within Dubsado. It's all kind of like that all in one package, which is really nice.
So if I was to, so the way my brain, I've never used Dubsado. So the way I'm seeing it is that HoneyBook is kind of like an iPhone when it comes to the platform. It's very just simple. And then Dubsado is like Samsung, where it's like a little bit more complex.
I hope not, because I am iPhone girl all the way.
So I'm thinking, that's what I'm seeing. That's funny.
I think Dubsado can be as simple as you need it to be. It can do the bare minimum. You can use it as a contact book, literally, and that's it.
Yeah.
You can use it just to collect your leads on your website, and that's fine. Or you can keep adding and making a CRM that will work for you so that when you do travel or go to Disneyland, as often as I do, contracts are still being sent. Someone signed the contract, invoice immediately sent. Someone's paid the invoice. Awesome. Here's my scheduler. Let's get on a call.
Yeah.
Immediately automated sent. So it's finding, you can take it to the Android level.
Love it.
That would have been really helpful to have while we were traveling in Europe.
And so wouldn't it be like a perfect little world to automate that just says, hey, thanks so much for inquiring. Here's my pricing. Here's this. Let's get on a call, etc. And I love that. I love the idea of that automation. But for myself, I'm like, no, like I want to handheld my clients, as wedding, professionals. Sometimes people take any X number of weddings as their perfect number, but we take 20 to 30 a year.
Yeah.
I want to make sure that those 20 couples are so taken care of. And so for me, I had that total fear, and that's why I still inquire. But I have a template that has a scheduler built into it through Dubsado. All of these things are already built. And then I'm going in and I'm reading that email and I'm saying, okay, yeah. Oh my God. I love that so-and-so sent you my way. And I'm so excited about your venue. I love working there. And the big tree in the background is just like so picturesque and, you answer for that great client experience. So I totally so valid, such a valid fear to have in the world of automation.
Yeah. I like how you mentioned that. And that answered my question perfectly by saying, when you get a lead and you respond like, oh, I love this venue and for XXX and a reason. And, and instead of sending an automation, it's like, hey, thanks for inquiring. Here's my pricing. Hear from me. And then nowadays with our phones so, glued to our hands. I mean, it's so easy just to, I got a lead. Okay. Hey, how's it going? Okay.
And wouldn't it be nice if you, could say, oh, I got a lead. And then I just hit, okay, I want this response. So it puts all the info in there, a little link to get on the call with you immediately, a little link to your pricing guide if you send that, a little welcome guide, whatever it is. And then all you have to do is just in that little box that you put customize here, you just delete and then you write in your little customization and hit send.
Easy.
The fun part.
The fun part.
Yes. Yes.
So I have another question. Are there any specific techniques or helpful practices that you haven't shared yet that you utilize personally to streamline the editing and post-production aspects of it for wedding photographers?
Yep.
For post-production, I have a whiteboard, so old school. And that has my workflow on it, which is so nice. I love having a visual and it's right there. Yeah. And I literally move magnets for each bride's name down the list. And the moment I get through my visual workflow, I toggle that button on Dubsado, and then that triggers the rest of it. So delivery, follow-ups, asking for a review, etc. But I think that some helpful tips within that is identify the parts of your job that you maybe don't love to do, or the parts of your life that you don't like to do, and hire someone to help you. So I hate calling. Patrick, my partner, loves to call. He will call all day for me because he just blasts music and just through it. And I'm like, I get distracted. I want to edit, and that just takes forever. So that really helps. But also like, I don't like to do the dishes. So like I hired a house cleaner.
Oh my God.
I don't, which sounds like, I used to think like, that sounds so bougie. I got a house cleaner. I'm so fancy. I'm just making millions over here. Not, but for me, it's like, I love to do the editing. I didn't want to pass that off. And there's so many services out there that you could. That part I really enjoy. I don't enjoy doing the dishes. Let's not pass off editing. Let's pass off the dishes,
Nice.
I love it. We need to get your dishes lady.
Yeah.
We hate that too.
I'll send you that contact card on my iPhone.
So, Kasie, can you offer any advice or recommendations for aspiring wedding photographers looking to develop, their own effective and a workflow?
I think that it really just starts with your CRM. That is probably one of the best investments you can make in your business. And the earlier you start it, the better. It's hard when we first start off. We want to keep our costs as low as possible, obviously, so that we can make a profit and, make this into a career. But CRMs, I really do think that you'll thank yourself later, because the more efficient your business is, the more clients you can take on and still provide an excellent client experience in. And so I think that as new entrepreneurs, we get sucked into what service or product that we're providing. And we're so passionate about that. And we're so excited about it. But if we're not providing a great client experience, then they're not going to come back. They're not going to refer you. They're not going to tell your friends, even if you just nailed it with best photos in the world, but you took forever to return, to give them their files, or you never got back to them confirming you were coming to their wedding. That stress level, they're like, I'm never telling anybody about this person ever again. So we want to avoid that. We want to create. So I think that having, like Dubsado or a CRM, you're just starting that hand holding process with your clients early. And then I also offer a service called workflow audits, and they sound like terrifying because it has the word audit in it.
The lawyer comes out.
But it has nothing to do with like tax audits, nothing scary, I promise. It's I had a recent client call it therapy for your business. And it's a one-on-one session with me, and we go through and we build your workflow. So you probably already have one, whether you know it or not, or have ever written it down. We all have the steps that we take. So we talk through all of that, and we talk about, again, who's your ideal client? How are we serving them? How are we creating the best client experience possible for them? And how are we taking some of the load off of your shoulders so that you can hang out with your kids or your dog or go to Disneyland or travel and have that stress-free environment? So everybody's happy in the end. And we've gotten a lot of great feedback on that. And it's been a lot of fun to do those audits.
That's so cool. Yeah. And I bet you have mastered your workflow and your life is very chill because you're able to go to Disneyland like a lot of times. Which is crazy.
And now we're spreading the love so we can make a team Disneyland trip with all the vendors.
Yes. I'm like, everybody come on down. Let's get an audit. That way we can not be stressed out. Let's head down to Disneyland, spin in a teacup, call it a day.
Sounds perfect.
I love that Kasie mentioned like way back when we first started out about our workflows. Jade, remember when we started out, we used to do our stuff through like Google Drive.
Oh yeah, I used Google
Excel.
Drive.
I mean, that was brutal.
Night and day difference with IL Planner, but that's still not the complete thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we did. My friend that had said that their workflow audit was like a therapy session is a planner, and she was like, and it's so true. She was like, I was like, hey, so what do you do in your workflow? And she immediately pulls up IL Planner. She starts reading all the things that like your client does, right? Yeah. Like the to-do list and stuff. So it was so fun to be like, okay, but what do you do? She's like, well, I have to send an email for all of these. I'm like, let's do it. Like, let's simplify it. Let's show like great, like knowledge. Let's make sure your clients know, like, and trust you. Like, let's do it, And so it's like so fun to like turn it over and think about how we can combine all of that to kind of work together, that benefits everybody.
And I like that big word you mentioned, trust. You're with your client. And I feel like not only is a workflow like easy just to get you, like that therapy relaxation, but with the trust with your client when it comes to the automation, like when your emails is just going out to them every month or so, it makes them feel like, you're reaching out to them. You're letting them, hey, I'm still here, even though your wedding is until 2025, 2026. I'm still here.
You're a part of the journey with them.
Yeah. You're checking in with them. So it gives them that peace of mind,
Yeah. And think about it like, majority of our clients book us about a year or more out from their wedding date. And as photographers, we do their engagement session and then we do nothing.
Yeah, exactly.
And then we just magically show up on the wedding day. How many photographers, videographers do we know that do that?
Yeah.
And, and so I just think about it from a client, like I'd be panicking, like I haven't heard from in like 8 months, so it's so nice to like create those automations. It just makes you look good too. And so, anytime that you can manage your trust, create great trust with your client, and then also add value, right? Because they're paying us so much to show up and shoot. And so if we can give them a little bit of knowledge and a little bit of value and build that trust, then that person is going to scream your name from the rooftops, for the next years.
True.
So going back to your workflow audits, who is this beneficial for? Like there's so many different types of vendor categories, like even hair and makeup and DJs, like who can benefit from this?
It's been so fun. So far, I have done a lot of photographers because that's like my niche, obviously, and videographers. And then I've now been doing a lot of planners. One planner did it and then it's in like steamrolling, which has been fun. And then we've done a lot of hair and makeup artists, but really, truly, it can be for anybody that owns a business, but specifically the industry that I know and love is weddings. And so I've created this specifically as much as possible to be for wedding professionals, whether you're a DJ or a florist or et cetera, because really, and you don't need to use Dubsado, it's a workflow. Everybody has a workflow. And so it's just kind of finding that and developing it and pointing it towards a great wedding experience.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
So you heard that, everyone in the wedding industry, get up on this and get your workflow. So I got to ask, Kasie, how can the vendors book a workflow with you?
You can go on my website, which is SLOtownstudios.com. And if you do a little /education in there, it'll take you right to that landing page. And you just click on workflow audits and take it from there. And once you submit the lead contact form, one of my workflows will take over and get you all signed up. It'll take you through all the things that are necessary to get to the one-on-one call that will change your business life.
And to the listeners that are listening, do not worry about trying to rewind and typing it down. We will have the link in the description below. All right. So now that we got some little juicy, information out, let's get into the lightning crazy fun round.
So this is a game of this or that. We have a good list of things here and you have to pick one as quick as you can.
No thinking, just say what comes to your head, okay?
This or that.
This or that. So here we go. First question. Rich and famous or rich and unknown?
Rich and famous.
Okay. Owe money or owe a favor?
Owe money.
Beer or wine?
Wine.
Spring or fall?
Fall.
Hey. French fries or onion rings?
French fries.
Yeah.
I think I know the answer to this one. Android or iPhone?
iPhone.
Morning person or night owl?
Both.
Hey, it works.
Football? When do you sleep?
Never. That's usually what follows that is never. I never sleep.
Football or basketball?
Football.
Yeah.
Go Vikings.
Hey. Pineapple pizza or candy corn?
Pineapple pizza.
Yeah.
Guacamole or salsa?
Salsa.
Hey. Staycation or vacation?
Vacation.
All day.
Batman or Superman?
I'm like, I wish I had like a reason.
It could be any reason. Hey, Superman. Cookies or brownies?
Cookies.
Flying or turning invisible?
Whoa.
Flying.
Okay, that's a nice one. Yeah. Halloween or Christmas?
Christmas.
Yay.
Introvert or extrovert?
Extrovert.
Yep, big time.
Everyone goes, yeah.
Smoothies or milkshakes?
Smoothies.
Hey. And that is it for that little fun round.
That was so fun. I
Yeah.
want to know your guys' answers now. I'm like,
No, there's so much more value.
Yeah, we love doing that. Just gives us and everyone else an idea of you, fun little facts.
I like it. I like it.
So, as we wrap up our awesome episode and everyone gained a lot of knowledge about workflows, we like to ask one final question. Here we go. If you could choose any superpower to have while photographing a wedding, what would it be and how would it help you?
Have you guys ever seen that movie Jumper?
Oh, yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Immediately, I'm like, if I could jump from groom getting ready to girls getting ready to the ceremony site to the reception site and then back over and cut out all the walking and the time that it takes or driving that it takes to get from each place, that'd be amazing.
Like teleportation.
Yeah, pretty much.
Essentially, yeah. You just think of a place and you're there.
That is,
Yeah.
that's brilliant. I didn't even think of that. That's the one thing we all hate is we're having our wedding here, but our ceremony's over here. And then we want our first look
Laps
here.
all day.
Yeah.
Well, and you kind of have to choose, right? You're like, what's the priority in this situation?
Yeah.
Do I go with where the bride is getting ready and send the second shooter over here? Do I go and get the ceremony details or do I get the guests arriving? Do I get cocktail hour or family portraits? I wish I could just pop
Back and
boom.
forth.
All over, boom, boom, boom. Okay, next family photo, boom, and then back over here, cocktails.
It's like, hey,
While someone organizes the next group of family, just go somewhere else. Oh my gosh.
There's so much little downtime, So I'm like, my handy dandy planner right here is just all right, I need Uncle Bob and bride and groom, and I'm just going to be over here, taking pictures of guests having fun at cocktail hour.
Yeah, just where's Kasie? Oh, there she is. Oh God! Whoever's seen Jumper, they know exactly what we're talking about. That's so
I
good.
haven't seen that in so long, but for some reason, it immediately jumped into my head when you asked me that.
That is awesome. All right, Kasie, it's been a pleasure having you on, and thank you so much for being the first to start our season off. Oh my God!
I'm so excited. Thank you guys so much for having me and making this so fun.
Of course.
Yes,
and before we wrap it up, can you let everyone know where they can find you, social, websites, you name it?
Okay. SLOtownstudios.com. That's slow, SLO, none of that pesky W. SLOtownstudios.com/education. You can also catch me on Instagram, SLOtown Studios, or slow.town.education.
Love it.
Beautiful. We'll have all of those linked down below too.
All of it.
Yes.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for listening. Kasie, it's been a blast.
Thank you.
Bye.
What an incredible guest Kasie was to kick off season 2. We were lucky enough to get her insider tips about workflows and what has worked for her.
Right? It's so valuable to have Kasie's educational platform in our local wedding industry. As creative-driven entrepreneurs, I know so many of us vendors can struggle with some of these aspects on the business side of things. And Kasie can work with you to personalize a workflow to effortlessly be in control of your business while saving you time, all while creating a beautiful experience for your clients.
Exactly. I know I gained a lot of knowledge and tips for my workflows, right?
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thanks again for tuning in to the Wedding Vendors Happy Hour. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button to hear from more amazing wedding professionals. Whether you're tuning in on podcasts, Spotify, Apple, Google, or watching it on YouTube. Till then, we'll catch you on season 2, episode 2.
Thank you for listening to the Wedding Vendors Happy